Hey guys, so I've been thinking about making sort of a bit of a response to a series of videos, really, because they seem to be sort of repetitions in a sense, just trying to like box in maybe little disparate parts with a lot of overlap. But like anyway, Bernardo Kastrup, he's an advocate for, if you want to call it that, I don't know. He makes an argument for idealism, in that he believes that the source of and the place of all things is mind. And I am in at least partial agreement with that, if not total agreement. However, I have noticed a certain, it's not necessarily a flaw, but what could be a misleading example that he's been using to sort of describe how phenomena can exist as these sort of physical seeming things within the mind, and how they're actually simply qualities of the mind, that the physical reality is actually simply a quality of the mind, or a property, or how it acts, and that there's nothing else necessary besides mind, that everything exists within mind, but that an attribute of mind is physicality. And I'm in almost total agreement with this, actually. This is sort of the direction that I'm interested in going. If I continue my study with philosophy, over the years, I would like to become more acquainted with these ideas and the arguments, and sort of the more metaphysical area of philosophy. And I guess it's because of that I've done some thought on my own, and I think that he's missing a slight, very, I don't know how subtle it really is, but just maybe even an obvious point, and maybe that's why it's so easy to look past. So I was looking at this river, I came up with this not looking at a river. I just came up with it after he said this. But all right, so first let me just read what he said. He said, so it's in his video, this is the one I'm quoting from: "All is in consciousness, but not necessarily conscious." And around 7 minutes, he talks about how these things, these phenomena that we observe as physicality, are excitations of the mind. That just as ripples are excitations of water, and just as vibration of a guitar string is an excitation of a guitar string, and the spin in a top is an excitation of that top, that they're sort of that the ripple in the water, or the whirlpool in the water, is simply the water. There's nothing more to it. There's no extra object there. But we can observe a obvious phenomena that, specifically in a whirlpool, but also in a ripple or a tide or anything like that, it exists as a real thing that we can describe and name, but at the same time there's nothing more to it than the water itself and the properties inherent in water. I would say that is an interesting argument or example, and that there's truth to it. But the thing that he doesn't acknowledge is the fact that in order for these excitations to exist, specifically in the example of water, you need these rocks. What's happening is that they are encountering something. Specifically, the water is encountering spatial variation. And in that encounter, it is excited, but it's excited by something. It's not simply an excitation of its own volition. It can't do that. Water, without any exciting element, without any variation in space, it doesn't do anything. There are no observable. It's nearly invisible, except for the sediment within it. It's almost invisible. Yeah, I mean, you have the clouding that takes place, which may or may not have to do with sediment, but I know that there are these Caribbean islands where you can go and you can look through the water, you can see the bottom. The point is that if you negate the excitation, there are no properties that are observable. They have to be encountered by, or they have to encounter something. So the same could be said for the top, the same could be said for the guitar string. In order for those excitations to happen, they have to encounter something. And the thing that they have to encounter seems to be spatial variation, because the top, as it spins, it's actually experiencing a variation within the space that its different parts inhabit. And the same thing's true for the water, and the same thing's true for the string that is moving through space. So it is a property of space that encounters, gosh, I'm stuttering. It's a property of space encountering a property of mind. And I think that space actually acts as sort of a filter for mind in that way. But what is space? Is that a property of mind? I would argue no. But then, I would also argue yes. I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe people will hate me for leaving it at that, but I want to see, if anyone sees this video, make a comment as to what you think about the resolution of idealism and mind and the existence of space. Is space in mind? Is it not? If not, what does that mean for idealism? Alright, I'll leave it at that for now.